never imagined I'd spend my 68th birthday signing a lease for a secret apartment. But there I was, hands trembling as I initialed page after page, while my daughter-in-law thought I was at my weekly book club. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was the one hiding, planning an escape when I hadn't done anything wrong. But after the fourth time I came home to find my belongings rearranged, my personal documents rifled through, and that woman sitting in my kitchen like she owned the place, I knew something had to change. My name is Margaret Chen, and this is the story of how I became invisible to save my sanity, and how that invisibility led my daughter-in-law straight into a pair of handcuffs. My son David was always the golden child. Straight A's, full scholarship to Stanford, married his college sweetheart at 26. When he brought Jessica home for the first time, I wanted desperately to love her. She was beautiful, accomplished, articulate. She worked in marketing for a tech company and had opinions about everything from politics to the proper way to fold fitted sheets. That should have been my first warning sign. Anyone who claims to know how to properly fold a fitted sheet is either lying or controlling. For the first year, things were cordial. We had pleasant holiday dinners. She laughed at my husband's jokes before he passed away 3 years ago. She even helped me set up my first smartphone, though she rolled her eyes more times than I could count when I asked her to repeat the instructions. The cracks started showing after David got his promotion. Suddenly, they were house hunting in expensive neighborhoods. Jessica started making comments about family wealth and inheritance planning. She'd ask pointed questions about my finances over Sunday dinner, disguising her nosiness as concern. "Margaret, have you thought about what happens to this apartment when you're gone?" she'd ask, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "David and I were thinking you might want to put his name on the deed now, avoid all those messy probate issues." I'd smile and change the subject. The apartment was mine, bought with my late husband Richard's life insurance and my own savings from 30 years as a school librarian. David would inherit it eventually, but I had no intention of signing anything over while I still drew breath. That's when the visits started. It was a Tuesday in March when I first noticed something was off. I'd been out grocery shopping, gone maybe 2 hours total. When I came home, my door was locked as usual, no signs of forced entry. But something felt wrong. The throw pillows on my couch were arranged differently. I'm particular about my pillows. The blue one always goes on the left, the yellow one on the right, with the floral one in the middle. But they were scattered randomly, like someone had sat down and tossed them aside without thinking. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe I'd arranged them differently that morning and forgotten. But then I went into my bedroom and found my jewelry box slightly open. Nothing was missing. I checked 3 times, but it had definitely been moved. The dust outline on my dresser proved it had been shifted about 2 inches to the left. My heart started pounding. I checked every window, every door, all locked. I lived on the 4th floor, so no one could have climbed in through a window anyway. I called David. "Mom, you probably just forgot," he said, distracted. I could hear keyboard clicking in the background. "You've been stressed since Dad died. Maybe you should talk to Dr. Morrison about your memory." I wanted to scream. My memory was fine. I could recite every student who'd checked out books from my library in 1994 if pressed, but I swallowed my frustration. "You're probably right," I lied. "I'll make an appointment." I didn't tell him about the faint smell of Jessica's perfume I'd noticed when I first walked in, that distinctive Chanel No. 5 she wore every day. I didn't tell him because I sounded crazy even to myself. 2 weeks later, it happened again. This time, I'd been at my friend Dorothy's apartment for afternoon tea. We'd watched 2 episodes of a British mystery series, so I was gone for about 3 hours. When I came home, I knew immediately something was wrong. My home office, a small converted bedroom where I kept my computer and important papers, had been disturbed. The filing cabinet drawer was slightly ajar. I always kept it locked. I opened it with shaking hands. My folders were out of order. Someone had been through my financial documents, my medical records, the deed to my apartment. Everything was there, but it had clearly been examined and hastily reshuffled. This time, I found something else. A single, long, dark hair on my desk. Jessica's hair. She dyed it a distinctive mahogany brown just the month before. I sat down hard in my desk chair, my mind racing. How was she getting in? I had the only keys. The building had a doorman, but he knew Jessica as David's wife, saw her visit me regularly. He'd let her in without question if she said she was checking on me. But she couldn't get into my apartment without keys, unless... I called the building manager, trying to keep my voice steady. "Hi, Tom. This is Margaret Chen in 4B. I was wondering, have there been any maintenance workers in my apartment recently?" "Let me check the log," he said. I heard papers shuffling. "Yeah, actually, your daughter-in-law called last Monday, said you'd mentioned a leaky faucet in the bathroom. She met the plumber here, let him in with the spare key from the office. Why? Was there a problem?" My blood ran cold. There was no leaky faucet. I hadn't reported any maintenance issues. No problem," I managed to say. I'd forgotten I'd asked her to do that. "Thanks, Tom." After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. She was using my own building manager to break into my home. She'd lied about a maintenance emergency to get access to the spare key the building kept on file for emergencies. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't my grief-addled mind playing tricks on me. My daughter-in-law was systematically invading my privacy, and I had no idea why. I called David again. This time, I was firm. "Your wife has been letting herself into my apartment when I'm not here. She got the building's spare key under false pretenses and has been going through my things." The silence on the other end lasted too long. "Mom, that's a serious accusation," he finally said, his voice strained. "Jessica would never... Why would she do that?" "I don't know, David. You tell me. Why is your wife so interested in my financial documents? Why is she going through my filing cabinet?" "This is ridiculous. You're making wild accusations because you're lonely and you don't like Jessica. She's been nothing but kind to you, and this is how you repay her?" Her words stung like a slap. "David, I found her hair in my office. The building manager confirmed." "Stop." His voice was hard now, the tone he used in business meetings. "I won't listen to you attack my wife with conspiracy theories. If you keep this up, we're going to have a serious conversation about your mental state." He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, tears streaming down my face. My own son thought I was losing my mind, or worse, he knew the truth and was choosing her over me. That night, I called a locksmith and had all my locks changed. I told the building manager in writing that under no circumstances was anyone, including family members, to be given access to my spare key without my express written permission. I thought that would be the end of it. I was so naive. 3 days after I changed the locks, I came home from my dental appointment to find Jessica sitting on my couch, casually scrolling through her phone. I screamed. I actually screamed right there in my own doorway, my keys falling from my hands. She looked up, startled. "Margaret, you scared me. I was just waiting for you." "How did you get in here?" My voice was shaking. "I changed the locks." She had the audacity to look confused. "With my key, of course. The one you gave me for emergencies, remember?" "I never gave you a key." "Of course you did. Last year, after Richard died. You said you wanted family to have access in case something happened to you." She stood up, smoothing her expensive designer pants. "Are you feeling okay? You seem confused." I wanted to scream again. She was gaslighting me, standing in my living room, lying to my face with such confidence that for a moment I questioned myself. Had I given her a key and forgotten? No, absolutely not. I'd never given her keys, which meant she'd copied them at some point, probably during one of her earlier visits when I'd excused myself to use the bathroom or make tea. "Get out," I said quietly. "What? Get out of my home." My voice was stronger now. "You broke in here. You've been breaking in repeatedly, going through my private papers, violating my space. Get out before I call the police." Her mask slipped for just a moment. Her eyes went hard and calculating. Then the concerned daughter-in-law expression slid back into place. "Margaret, you're clearly having some kind of episode. I'm going to call David." I said, "Get out." I was yelling now, and I didn't care who heard. "You have 10 seconds before I call 911 and report a break-in." She left, but not before saying, "David needs to know how bad you've gotten. This is exactly the kind of behavior that suggests you shouldn't be living alone anymore." The threat was clear. They wanted my apartment, and she was building a case that I was incompetent to live independently. That's when I decided to disappear. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table with a notepad and planned my escape, because that's what it was, an escape from my own family. The facts were clear. Jessica wanted something from me, probably my apartment or access to whatever assets I had. She'd been systematically breaking in to snoop through my papers. When confronted, she'd tried to make me seem mentally unstable. David, caught between his wife and his mother, had chosen to believe her version of events. If I went to the police now, what would happen? It would be my word against hers. She'd say I'd given her the keys. David would back her up, probably even suggest I'd invited her over and forgotten. With my age and recent widowhood, it wouldn't be hard to paint me as a confused, paranoid old woman. I needed proof. More than that, I needed to catch her in the act so decisively that even David couldn't deny what she was doing. Over the next 2 weeks, I began my preparations. I told no one, not Dorothy, not my sister in Portland, not David. I went about my normal routines: grocery shopping on Tuesdays, book club on Thursdays, volunteer work at the community center on Saturdays. But I was also quietly executing my plan. First, I rented a small studio apartment across town under a friend's daughter's name. It cost more than I wanted to spend, but I had savings. I moved things in gradually: clothes, toiletries, my laptop, important documents. Nothing obvious that Jessica would notice during her break-ins. Second, I called my lawyer and had my will updated with explicit instructions. Everything was to go to David, but only after my death, with no provisions for early transfer. I made sure the will was stored at the lawyer's office, not in my apartment. Third, and this was the crucial part, I installed hidden cameras. 2 of them, disguised as ordinary objects. One looked like a phone charger plugged into a living room outlet. The other was hidden in a decorative book on my shelf, positioned to capture anyone entering my office. The cameras were motion activated and uploaded footage directly to a cloud account Jessica and David didn't know existed. My friend Dorothy's granddaughter, a tech-savvy college student, had helped me set them up. "My grandmother tells me you're having some trouble," she said tactfully while installing the equipment. "These will catch anyone who comes in. The footage is encrypted and timestamped. It'll hold up in court if you need it." Finally, I planned my departure. I chose a date 3 weeks out. Plenty of time for everything to be ready. I'd leave on a Thursday morning after my usual book club night, when Jessica would think I was following my normal weekly routine. The hardest part was maintaining normalcy while knowing I was about to vanish from my own life. Those 3 weeks were surreal. I continued having Sunday dinners with David and Jessica, smiling and nodding while she made thinly veiled comments about elderly people who refuse to accept they need help and the dangers of seniors living alone. David seemed stressed, caught in the middle. Part of me wanted to pull him aside, show him everything, make him see what his wife was really doing. But I knew he wouldn't believe me without proof. He'd made that clear. Jessica broke in twice more during those weeks. I watched it happen in real time on my phone, notifications pinging as she entered my apartment while I sat in a coffee shop downtown, heart pounding as I watched her rifle through my desk drawers and photograph documents with her phone. I saved every second of footage. The cameras caught her talking to herself, too. "Where does she keep her bank statements?" I heard her mutter on one video. "There has to be more money than this. The old bat must have accounts she hasn't told David about." She wasn't just nosy, she was hunting for assets. But why? David had a good job. They weren't hurting for money. Unless they were and he hadn't told me, or unless her expensive tastes had outpaced even his generous salary. On my last Sunday dinner, Jessica was particularly sweet. She'd made my favorite dessert, lemon bars, and kept refilling my wine glass. "Margaret, I've been thinking, you know we worry about you here all alone. What if something happened and no one found you for days?" She reached across the table to pat my hand with her perfectly manicured fingers. "We've been looking at some wonderful assisted living communities, very upscale, lots of activities. We could tour a few together next week." There it was, the end game. Get me into assisted living, take over my apartment, probably sell it and pocket the profit. I smiled serenely. "That's very thoughtful, dear, but I'm quite happy where I am." Her smile tightened. Of course, but maybe just look for David's peace of mind?" "I'll think about it," I lied. That was the last time I saw them before I disappeared. Thursday, April 18th. I'd picked the date carefully. It was David's busiest week at work, some major project deadline that would keep him in back-to-back meetings. Jessica had mentioned at dinner that she had a spa day planned with friends. In other words, I knew exactly where everyone would be. I woke up at 5 a.m., my stomach churning with anxiety and adrenaline. For the next 3 hours, I systematically removed the last of my essentials from the apartment. My photo albums, my mother's jewelry, Richard's watch, the things that mattered, the things that couldn't be replaced. By 8 a.m., I was done. The apartment still looked lived in. I'd left furniture, kitchen items, books on the shelves, clothes in the closet. Enough that it wouldn't immediately look abandoned, but everything personal, everything irreplaceable was now safely in my new studio across town. I left the hidden cameras. Those were the most important items of all. Then I did something that felt both liberating and terrifying. I called the police non-emergency line. "Hello, I'd like to file a report about repeated break-ins to my apartment," I told the officer who answered. I gave my address and explained the situation calmly, factually. I told them about Jessica getting the spare key under false pretenses, about changing my locks and her still having access, about catching her in my apartment without permission. "Do you have any proof of these break-ins?" the officer asked. "Yes," I said. "I have video footage. Multiple instances. I'd like to provide it to you and press charges." They took my statement and assigned a case number. An officer would be by later in the week to collect the evidence and discuss next steps, they said. Perfect. Then I gathered my purse, took one last look at the apartment I'd lived in for 15 years, and walked out. I didn't leave a note. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I simply disappeared. I went to my new studio, unpacked my final boxes, and waited. For the first 2 days, nothing happened. My phone rang constantly. David, then Jessica, then David again. I didn't answer. I'd turned off my location services and removed the SIM card from my phone, using only Wi-Fi at my new place. The voicemails started concerned. "Mom, just checking in, haven't heard from you." Then worried. "Mom, please call me back, I'm getting concerned." Then frantic. "Mom, if I don't hear from you by tonight, I'm calling the police to do a wellness check." Let him, I thought. The police already knew the situation. A wellness check would only confirm I wasn't in my apartment. On the third day, according to the timestamp on my camera footage, Jessica let herself into my apartment. She looked around, clearly surprised I wasn't there. She called out my name a few times, then pulled out her phone. I could see her calling someone, probably David. She looked frustrated. Then she started going through my apartment more thoroughly than ever before, opening closets, checking drawers, looking for clues about where I'd gone. She spent 45 minutes there, photographing more documents, even taking a few small items, a silver picture frame, a piece of jewelry I'd deliberately left behind. On camera, I watched her pocket them without hesitation. Not just breaking and entering anymore. Now it was theft. She came back the next day and the day after that. Each time, the footage showed her growing more agitated, more careless. She started leaving cabinet doors open, drawers pulled out. She wasn't even trying to hide her presence anymore. On the 6th day, a Saturday, David showed up with her. I watched on my phone as my son used what I assume was his wife's copied key to enter my apartment. They split up and searched. He took the bedroom and bathroom while she went through the living room and office again. "Where the hell could she have gone?" I heard him say, his voice tight with stress. "Her car is still in the parking garage. Her medications are still in the bathroom cabinet." I'd left the medications deliberately, the unimportant ones. Let them think I was addled and wandering around without my blood pressure pills. "Maybe she went to stay with that friend of hers, Dorothy," Jessica suggested, but even through the camera, I could hear the falseness in her concern. I called Dorothy. She hasn't heard from Mom in over a week. David sounded genuinely distressed now. "I'm calling the police. This isn't like her." "Wait," Jessica said quickly. "Let's look around a bit more first. Maybe she left a note or something in her calendar." She didn't want the police involved. Interesting. They stayed for another hour, going through every room. At one point, David stood in the middle of my living room with his hands over his face, and I could see his shoulders shaking. He was crying, genuinely worried about me. Guilt twisted in my stomach, but I steeled myself. He'd chosen not to believe me. He'd chosen to think I was mentally declining rather than acknowledge his wife's behavior. This was necessary. They finally left, and David did call the police. I know because 2 officers showed up that evening to do a wellness check. They looked around, noted my absence, and filed their report. What David and Jessica didn't know was that those officers were the same ones who'd taken my statement the week before. The police had advised me to wait, to let Jessica incriminate herself further. "The more instances we have documented, the stronger the case," the detective assigned to my case had explained. "Breaking and entering, theft, potentially elder abuse if we can prove her motives. Let her think she's gotten away with it." So I waited. I spent my days in my new studio, reading, watching old movies, video calling with Dorothy, who I'd finally told about my situation. She was horrified but supportive. "Margaret Chen, this is the bravest thing I've ever seen you do. Also possibly the craziest, but mostly brave." Jessica continued her break-ins, twice a week like clockwork. The camera footage showed her growing bolder, more comfortable. She'd bring shopping bags and pack up items she thought were valuable. She clearly believed I was gone for good, dead or disappeared, and was cleaning out the apartment before anyone official got involved. On the 18th day, the police decided to act. They'd been monitoring my camera feeds with my permission and a warrant, and had more than enough evidence. Now they wanted to catch her in the act. They set up surveillance outside my building on a Thursday evening, one of Jessica's usual break-in days. Sure enough, at 7:47 p.m., she entered the building, waved casually to the doorman, and headed upstairs. I watched the footage later. She used her copied key to enter my apartment, looked around quickly, then headed straight for my bedroom. She was going through my jewelry box when the knock came on the door. "Police, we need you to open the door." The camera caught her face. Pure panic. She looked around wildly, probably calculating whether she could hide or escape, but the knocking came again, more insistent. "We know you're in there. Open the door or we'll use our key." She opened it and found herself face to face with 2 police officers and the building manager. "Ma'am, this isn't your apartment. Can you explain why you're here?" I couldn't see her face clearly from the camera angle, but I could imagine her mind racing. I'm Margaret Chen's daughter-in-law. I was just checking on things since she's been missing." "Missing? How?" She hasn't been seen in almost 3 weeks. My husband filed a report." "I see. And do you have permission to be in this apartment?" "Yes, of course. She gave me a key for emergencies." "That's interesting," the officer said. Because Mrs. Chen filed a police report 2 weeks before her disappearance, stating that you had been repeatedly breaking into her home without permission. She changed her locks specifically to keep you out. So how did you get in today? The silence was deafening. I'd like you to step out here, please. You're being detained for questioning regarding breaking and entering and theft. Theft? I haven't stolen anything. Ma'am, we have video footage of you removing items from this apartment on multiple occasions over the past 3 weeks. We're going to need you to come with us. That's when she called David. I wasn't there for that conversation, but I heard about it later. She insisted she'd done nothing wrong, that I was setting her up, that the whole thing was a misunderstanding. David rushed to the police station. By that point, they'd shown Jessica some of the camera footage. Not all of it, just enough to prove she'd been entering without permission and taking things. She broke down. According to the police report I received later, she confessed to everything. The break-ins, the copied keys, the lies about me inviting her over, all of it. We have massive debt, she apparently sobbed to the detectives. Student loans, credit cards, the mortgage on our house. I thought if Margaret moved into assisted living, we could sell her apartment and pay things off. I was just looking for her financial records to see if she had money we didn't know about. I was trying to help David. He works so hard, and his mother is just sitting on all this equity. It was never about caring for me. It was about my assets, about the apartment Richard and I had scrimped and saved to buy, about whatever money she thought I was hiding. They charged her with multiple counts of breaking and entering, theft, and attempted elder fraud. The prosecutor was also considering stalking charges. And that's when I finally called David. Mom, oh my God, are you okay? Where are you? We've been looking everywhere. I know, I said quietly. I'm fine, David. I'm safe. Why did you disappear? Do you have any idea how worried I've been? His voice cracked with emotion. I thought you were dead. I thought you'd wandered off and... He couldn't finish. I needed you to see the truth, I said quietly. You wouldn't believe me when I told you Jessica was breaking in. You thought I was losing my mind, so I removed myself from the equation and let her show you who she really is. The silence on the other end lasted a long time. The police showed me the videos, he said finally, his voice hollow. All of them. Hours of footage of Jessica going through your things, taking your jewelry, photographing your documents. They said she's being charged with multiple felonies. Yes. Why didn't you just show me the videos? Why disappear? Would you have believed them? I asked gently. Or would you have thought I doctored them somehow, that I was so determined to drive Jessica away that I'd fabricated evidence? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. I needed you to hear it from her own mouth, I continued. I needed the police to be the ones to show you what she'd been doing, because you wouldn't believe your own mother. I'm so sorry. He was crying now, really crying. Mom, I'm so sorry. She told me you'd invited her to check on the apartment. She said you'd given her permission to organize your papers because you were overwhelmed. I believed her. I wanted to believe her because the alternative was that your wife was a criminal preying on your elderly mother. Jesus, he exhaled shakily. Where are you? Can I see you, please? We met at a coffee shop near my new place the next morning. David looked like he'd aged 5 years in 3 weeks. His eyes were red-rimmed, his face drawn. He hugged me so hard I could barely breathe. I thought I'd lost you, he whispered. I thought you died somewhere and it was my fault for not believing you. We sat down and I told him everything. The break-ins, the gaslighting, Jessica's threats about me needing assisted living. His face grew darker with every word. I had no idea she was that desperate about money, he said. I mean, yeah, we have debt, but I'm managing it. I've been paying down the credit cards. We have a plan for the student loans. It's tight, but it's not... We didn't need your apartment to survive. This was just greed. What happens now? I asked. He ran his hands through his hair. Her lawyer is pushing for a plea deal. The DA wants her to do some jail time, plus probation and restitution. I've filed for divorce. Oh, David. No, it needed to happen. Even if all this hadn't come out, things haven't been right for a while. She's always been focused on appearances, on keeping up with her friends and having the right house in the right neighborhood. I thought it was just ambition. I didn't realize it had become an obsession. He looked up at me. I'm sorry I chose her over you. I'm sorry I made you feel like you were going crazy. You're my son. I forgive you. But David, you have to believe people when they tell you what's happening to them, especially your own mother. I know. Jessica took the plea deal. She pled guilty to 3 counts of breaking and entering, 2 counts of theft, and 1 count of attempted elder fraud. She got 6 months in jail, 3 years probation, and was ordered to pay restitution for the items she'd stolen and the cost of my having to relocate temporarily. The day she was sentenced, I sat in the courtroom and watched her face as the judge read out her sentence. She looked at me once, and I saw anger there, not remorse. She still thought she was the victim somehow, that I'd orchestrated this entire thing to ruin her life. Maybe I had, in a way, but she'd been the one breaking the law. I'd just made sure she got caught. David moved out of their house and into a modest apartment. The divorce was finalized 8 months later. He comes to visit me every Sunday now, at my new place, not the old apartment, because I never moved back. My lawyer helped me put the old apartment on the market. I sold it for a good price and used the money to pay off the remainder of my mortgage on the new studio and set up a trust fund for David, one that Jessica can never touch. The new place is smaller, simpler, but it's mine, and no one has keys to it except me. I have a state-of-the-art security system and a video doorbell. I'm not taking any chances. Dorothy thinks I'm paranoid now. Maybe I am, but I'm also safer, and I'm definitely wiser. People ask me if I regret how I handled things. Couldn't you have just confronted her directly, they say? Did you have to go to such extremes? The answer is yes, I did. Because Jessica was building a narrative that I was mentally incompetent. She was systematically invading my privacy and stealing from me, and she'd convinced my own son that I was the problem. A direct confrontation would have played right into her hands. By disappearing, I took away her ability to gaslight me. I removed myself as a variable in the equation and let her criminal behavior speak for itself. The camera footage didn't lie. Her confession to the police didn't lie. And most importantly, David couldn't deny reality when it was laid out in front of him by law enforcement. I learned several things through this experience. First, trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, it usually is. I knew those first signs of break-ins were real, even when I was being told I was imagining things. Second, document everything. Those cameras saved me. Without video evidence, it would have been my word against hers forever. Third, don't let anyone make you doubt your own reality. Gaslighting is real, and it's insidious. Jessica almost succeeded in making me question my own sanity. Fourth, sometimes the people who are supposed to love you will choose wrong. David's failure to believe me hurt worse than anything Jessica did. But people can learn and grow and apologize. Our relationship is still healing, but it's stronger now than it was before, because it's built on honesty. And finally, you're never too old to start over. At 68, I moved to a new apartment, set up a new life, and proved to myself that I'm still capable of taking care of myself and protecting myself when necessary. It's been 2 years since I disappeared from my old apartment. Jessica served her 6 months and is now out on probation. I hear through David that she's moved back to her home state and is working retail. She's not allowed to contact me per the terms of her probation. David is doing well. He's dating someone new, a kind woman named Patricia, who works as a nurse. She's come to Sunday dinners a few times, and I like her. She laughs at my jokes and doesn't ask pointed questions about my finances. I'm still living in my little studio. I joined a new book club, started volunteering at a different community center, made new friends.
I take self-defense classes twice a week. At 69, I can now do a pretty impressive kick if I say so myself. The old apartment sold to a young couple expecting their first baby. I saw them moving in when I drove past one day. The woman was pregnant and glowing, and the man was carrying boxes with a huge smile on his face. They looked happy. I hope they fill that space with better memories than it held for me at the end.
Sometimes Dorothy asks if I'm lonely in my new place, if I miss the old neighborhood. The truth is, I'm more at peace than I've been in years. My space is mine, my privacy is protected, and I never wonder if someone's going to be sitting on my couch when I come home. People think getting older means becoming vulnerable, an easy target, and maybe for some people that's true. But I'm proof that age doesn't have to mean helplessness. I fought back in my own way, and I won. My daughter-in-law thought she could break into my home and my life without consequences. She thought I was just some confused old woman who wouldn't fight back. She was wrong. And when she broke into my apartment that last time, expecting to find me either dead or gone forever, she found the police instead. Sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. Sometimes it's simply stepping aside and letting someone's own actions catch up with them. I didn't need to destroy Jessica. I just needed to disappear long enough for her to destroy herself. And she did. Margaret Chen still lives independently in her studio apartment. David visits every Sunday. And Jessica? Well, she learned that some doors should never be opened without permission.